The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here a special guest. Her name is Nicola Grant Sewell. She is an author, professional mother, and wife. Today we're going to be speaking about her book, In the Face of Multiple Sclerosis. Miss, she's going to speak about it, and this from her own experience. So this would be really good. So, hi Nicola.
Hi Jade, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking.
Lovely. So I want to speak about your book. I want to know first, why is it that you felt that you needed to write this book?
I have been making notes. Being diagnosed with MS, I started to make notes because whenever I visit my neurologist or I leave, I tend to forget about things that I should have brought up or questions I should have asked. And then learning about all my symptoms, that things that I'm now experiencing. And I knew this was, I was experiencing it before. And so I've been making notes, and I said that, if all of this has happened to me, and if I had known a lot of things that I'm learning now, it would have made a big difference, because early intervention, early diagnosis and treatment can improve outcomes and help people with MS to maintain their independence. So I started making notes, and then I usually share my experience with a lot of persons, because it's not something, MS, multiple sclerosis, is not something that a lot of persons are talking about.
Right.
And so it just seems very unfamiliar to them, especially for a woman of, I would say, a African descent or Black woman, because
Yes.
usually you associate the disease like with an older Caucasian person. So I decided to just use my notes that I've been making and just put it in a book that I think can be helpful to persons, because learning from many persons are saying, and I that they know someone that has it, and talk about their experience. And if I didn't start to talk about mine, then persons wouldn't be forthcoming. They wouldn't have been telling you about their experience.
Yes.
And early intervention, if persons were talking more, and if I knew about it and knew about some of the symptoms and signs, I would have been more knowledgeable. Yes. And we're talking to the doctor, and then, and maybe I would have had an earlier intervention, diagnosis, and my outcome would have been better.
So it's really to educate persons, especially people who have it, or people who they might be having certain symptoms and don't know what it is, because that's the case. And even talking about that, let's talk about first signs. what are some of the first signs? And I mean, I don't want you to tell us everything because I want people also to buy the book and to be able to read it. But tell us about some of the first signs that you started having.
My first signs, I was diagnosed, or I had a major episode in 2019. But when the investigation started, I realized that my first sign was actually in 2017. So it took almost 2 years for the medical professionals to determine what was actually happening to me, and
Right.
then in 2020 before they could actually give me a diagnosis. So my first signs were like the tingling in my arms. It's like an internal itch. And I was saying, I'm always tired. And I find that the chores that I'm doing are just the ones that I can do, like the laundry and just the basic housekeeping. I wasn't able, I didn't have much stamina. I'm just always tired. And
Right.
even when I think I've gotten enough sleep, I was always tired. So, and then I started to have weird sensation in my arms or my legs, but then it will go away. Then I started to get clumsy at times, but those were things that, you wouldn't, because it wasn't happening frequently at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you would not read much into it. And then I had, my legs then started to go numb, and I went to the doctor. And he, based on my description, I didn't have a family doctor at the time because I had recently migrated to Canada in
Right.
2016, and I wasn't yet on their health plan. I had a private insurance. So I went to a walk-in clinic, and he said, based on my, it seemed as if I had a stroke. So it was like this, the signs were mimicking a lot of things. Numbness even in my face, the tingling in my arms, my legs, like an internal itch. So those were like the first signs that I started to experience. Chronic fatigue and the tingling in the arms and the legs, that sort of things. Yeah, I
Mm.
would experience. So those were like the first signs. There were other things that were spoke about in the book. But the numbness and the tingling in the arms and that internal itch, or maybe the internal, and sometimes you'll feel like you have a sore back.
Yes.
And I was getting, for the sore back, I was getting, and even the doctor had prescribed, I went to a physiotherapist, and then I went to a chiropractor, and I was getting acupuncture. And those were the things, because they were addressing things that were impacting the nerves,
Mm-hmm.
and not me. And then they have also done tests like to see if it was diabetes or
Mm-hmm.
anything that was related to it, because some of the signs, the symptoms were similar to persons. If you speak to persons who has diabetes, they will tell you about the tingling and the numbness,
Right.
right,
Right.
and the
Right.
nerve pain. These are, yes, so it mimics a lot of other diseases. So
Right.
further investigation is always good.
Yes. You spoke about in the book the impact of COVID on the diagnosis. Now I can imagine having all this happening and then COVID strikes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Unfortunately, I got a major relapse, or a major episode, because at the time I didn't know what was happening. October, I fell and I couldn't get up. And then, but when I went to the hospital, they did their examination and test, and they sent me home, waiting for further tests to be done. And then, in December, when I was waiting, I got I had a major episode again, and I ended up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had, when they started, what they
Suspected. Yeah, man.
suspected,
That's right.
yes, was the problem. Turned out after they did their test wasn't. So they said this is a mystery, so they have to do further testing.
Mm.
And that in December 2020, I'm not sure if you remember, that was when persons started to get ill, but signs of COVID. But it wasn't, I would say, on the forefront of everyone's mind. It's just that persons were coming down with this virus, and they
Right.
started to examine persons. So by January, it's like they were all testing. I was told that all testing persons with any
Low immune
low
system.
immune
Mm-hmm.
system weren't being given any treatment.
Right.
So you had was to I
Wait.
would wait because there were, and my test, one of my tests, they didn't do it at the hospital. It was a special test that they were doing. So they had to send it to another hospital. And they said that would have taken some time and then because of COVID and all of these um, viruses and persons getting ill, and then they decided that everything else would have to they'll put a pause on it. So no further testing or anything. I had was to wait until they are dealing with persons who were coming down with the virus at the time, which was COVID. So my illness was diagnosed like almost parallel to COVID. So it was like everything for me was put on pause. But at the same time, because my condition has now gotten worse, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't walk. I found myself in a wheelchair. I was in a lot of pain because I'm not sure if persons know what nerve pain really feels like, but it's like your body is on fire,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's nothing, could make it stop.
Nicola, can you imagine that you are going through this severe pain and everything is happening and they're telling you that they can't do anything. You're gonna have to wait. It also I believe, and I think you said it too, it made it probably worse. It made the
Yes,
MS worse because it's
yes,
not being
yes.
treated. And I mean it's a part of the book that people have to look. You had to advocate for yourself in terms of getting
Mhm.
the proper test done, because
Yes, yes.
you also spoke about some misdiagnosis and some things that were so close to each other and they have to keep on doing it. Sometimes it's hard, especially when it is that you feel like you are not being seen when you are in
Mhm.
pain and you are going to these persons that is supposed to help you and you don't feel like you're getting the help.
Right. So that is so true, Jade. I remember I was calling the doctor's office, and I don't know if you know when it's like the whole medical system was in chaos.
Hmm.
So you am on the phone calling, and all I'm getting is a recording.
Oh
All I'm
yes.
getting is a recording. I wasn't able to reach anyone. I was
Nope.
in severe pain. My
Hmm.
kids are there looking, wondering what's happening with me. I was just on the floor crying, don't know what to do, can't reach anyone. When I do reach the neurologist, finally, because I'm calling the hospital, I'm complaining, I'm calling everywhere. Everywhere that I could call, I would call. And I remember that the neurologist, when I finally got him, he was saying that his hands are tied. The
Mm.
government have given them strict instructions.
Orders to
There's
do.
nothing else he could do. So, that's so, and because MS is an autoimmune disease, and it's stress. It's impacted by stress, and stress can make it worse. And I think that is what had happened to me because I was under so much stress with the kids now, with school being on lockdown. I having the kids at home, it just sent my body into like a full lockdown. It's like the disease had just shut down my entire body.
Hmm.
And there was no one I could turn to. There was nothing the hospital could do because at the time my case was not treated or seen as a priority. So this COVID, I think, impacted my disease in the sense that it made it worse because I wasn't able to get the treatment that I was supposed to get because they were still investigating, as a matter of fact, what was happening. So I wasn't able to get the treatment, the full diagnosis and the treatment. Everything was delayed, and the stress that impacted the disease just caused more damage to the nerves.
Yes.
Yeah. So, right.
A lot. We're speaking about COVID and what happened. We also touched on some of the impact that it had on your body in terms of you were not able to walk. You were in pain. It was difficult for you to move around, basically. With this
Yes.
happening. Since we kind of touched on that, I want to move to support system. How important is it for us to have a support system going through things like that?
It's very important. And I tell you that we recently migrated to Canada, and I came with my kids, and my husband had stayed back in Jamaica, and we weren't close to many friends and family. And I remember the hospital assigning a healthcare worker to assist me during the week, and I could appreciate it, because not being able to do things that I would generally do for my kids. I see where in the house didn't I didn't have any groceries. I couldn't walk, I couldn't go anywhere. I was in a lot of pain. And the support system is very, very important,
Yes.
because these are things. I couldn't braid my daughter's hair. I have to be finding persons, reaching out to persons to assist me. And persons don't realize, even I remember someone saying to me when they saw me for the first time, that they didn't realize how bad it was, because they didn't come and visit me. They heard that I was ill, but they didn't come and visit. And they didn't realize how severe or how bad the situation was.
Yeah.
I did not have anyone to like buy grocery. Simple things as reaching out, assisting me with, purchasing groceries, even, assisting with like my braiding my daughter's hair. So you need to have a strong support system, persons who understand what you're going through. And that is what I was also trying to bring out in the book, that many of the things that you're feeling and you're going through is not really visible by the eyes.
No.
So it makes it difficult for persons to fully understand.
Hmm.
So when someone
It's like an invisible illness.
Yes, it is. It is. Because persons would look at you and you would look normal. But then by the time you start to walk, you might be stumbling, you're staggering, or um, you might be having some internal issues, whether it be pain, you're having some cognitive problems or vision problems. But persons looking at you don't see all of these things, these internal things that are happening to your body. Persons, even caregivers, this book would be ideal, because persons can understand that how they can support someone who is living with the disease, because it can take away a lot of your independence. Yes. So a good support system, and not only close friends and relatives, you also have to find community, groups. Like for me, it was like, finding MS Canada, registering for their peer support group. Your doctor is important, because you speak to your family doctor, your neurologist, or your urologist. Let them know exactly what you're going through. Don't be afraid to express too what you're going to, because to be fair, persons can't see. So you have to express and say, not just saying that you're ill and this is it. You just,
Or
you
tell them
too can
exactly
help them,
what's
tell them
happening.
exactly what is happening, because then they can provide better support.
And I like that you listed out a number of things. So she listed out, I mean, I'm not going to go through everything, but, the medical support and treatment team, the rehabilitation team, you listed
Mhm.
out, family and friends, medication and treatment access. You need people to help with all of, especially finances, because it does get expensive, especially if it is
Mhm.
that you don't have insurance.
Yes, it does.
It does. And as Nicola spoke about, even programs, communities, get in contact with communities. Not many persons have the resources or know what it is. And sometimes their family members don't have a clue, because as I said,
Mhm.
it's an invisible illness, so you can't really see it. So sometimes a lot of times, if persons can't see, they don't believe it's severe. Right.
Yes.
So having that support where people understand what is happening, even if they don't understand, but they hear you, and because they hear you, they're trying to even find resources to educate themselves. And this is a great book for people to read, to even find different resources and see what is happening. Because I mean, in the book also, Nicola listed out the different types of MS, so people also will look at it. And this book, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there, it's not to diagnose people, because you do
Mhm.
have to go in to get that
Yeah,
diagnosed
medical diagnosis.
medically.
Yes.
But
Yes.
this book is a great resource to help you in terms of, okay, now that you have been diagnosed, what next? What do I go from there? What are some sources? And
Mhm.
because sometimes it's overwhelming, I like how Nicola had put in her book the different avenues, the different ways, so that people can now see them and as a resource and go look them up for themselves in terms of how to do it.
Yeah,
I
because I was just adding to what you say. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was clueless. I didn't know where to turn for information or any support. So, a lot of things I've learned along the way. I said, I wish I'd known this before, then I would have done it differently, or I would
Right.
have benefited from such support instead of know that it is there and not you have to do it all alone. So you have, those support services and systems in place that can help persons.
Yes, love it. For the last chapter that we're going to touch, adapting to the changes. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, for me, I had to tell myself, okay, stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's not a death sentence. You need to know, not focus on the things that you want to do, but focus on the things that you have control over and that you have to accept that this is it. And these are the strategies that you're going to put in place to deal with it. So first, when I accepted that this is it, because it took a while for me to really accept that there's no cure and I will not get back any sense of normalcy. So now I have to put provisions in place how to deal with it. So you create your mindset, which is very, very important because this is what strengthen you and builds your resilience in living the disease. So I seek support as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I try to take action, not just sit and just thinking that everything is just going to come to me. So I started going out there, focusing on my health and wellness as well, focusing on my nutrition, focusing on things that also holistically, what can I do to improve my health?
Yes.
Whether it's meditation, um, you know, um, developing healthy habits.
Practicing
Uh,
gratitude.
yes, you practice gratitude every day. You start to prioritize in yourself.
Yes.
You know,
And celebrate your small victories.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and you have to manage your energy. So you do things within um your, what should I say, your capabilities.
Right.
So you not, yes. So once you accept and you say this is it, then you look at things that you can do in terms of even going to the gym. For example, yesterday I started going back out to the gym
Nice.
and I went to the women's boot camp, which was very brave of me. But the instructor, what she did was started to modify. So because I told them of what I'm going through, I told them that I have MS, and then she modified the exercises that were more suitable for me. So communication is key. Let
Love
persons
it.
know what you're going through, so you manage their expectation.
And,
So
and like that, yes, you spoke about communication because having MS, a lot of people don't want to talk about it because of
mhm,
embarrassment. But here,
mhm.
what? If you don't let people know, how are you going to get the help that you need?
Yes, that is true. And a lot of persons say to me, they use the word you're very brave.
You are.
And it's afterwards I think about it because I'm saying why they keep on saying why you're very brave. It's just talking about the disease itself, talking about MS, telling persons that you have MS.
That is brave.
That is brave
Yes, it is.
because I find that so many persons, a friend who bought the book, she told me that her nephew has the disease over 15 years now, and it's the first time I'm hearing about it. It's when I started to speak about it, and I remember her coming to me, and she was very sympathetic, and this has even made us started to communicate more because we would just say hi whenever we in passing, but then we started to communicate, and I realized that there's a connection. Persons don't
Yes.
really talk about MS. One person told me about their sister um how they lived, how she had a progressive one, and how it impacted the quality of life for her. And she was very emotional about it. And when she saw what her sister, and I remember when she reached out, the panic in her voice. So it's this book is just to tell persons that there is life after MS.
Yes.
You can still live a good quality life. You just need to manage your disease, manage your stress level, I should say, live a healthy lifestyle, and just positive thinking. Just tell yourself that these are the things that I am gonna do. Find strategies that works for you. Instead of things usually fall from my hands. I would get something with an handle, lightweight, that is so to alleviate things, or to prevent things rather from falling from my hands. So these are the things, that little things, people who this book is also ideal for caregivers, family members, for them to use as their support tool. How is it that they deal with? Because persons who has MS also has mood swings. It impacts them. Some persons will fall into depression. So they need that support for someone to understand, what they're going through and how they can help them. So,
Yes. And for persons with MS2, it's also about that can help you. So instead of saying why me and live on that, just say, you know what, this is it. Let me see how I can master it to make it beneficial to
yes.
myself and make my life better. I like your resilience too, because you fought through everything. I know it's because you're kids, but you fought through it and you are here today to tell your story to help somebody else.
Yeah.
So having that resilience, even going through what you're going through, is good. It's really courageous. It's really bold of you to do it. So continue doing that. Continue empowering and advocating for persons to even advocate for themselves and find the help and the support that they need.
Yes, that is so true. Push, ask your medical providers, make sure that you explain what is it that you're going through. And
Yes.
I remember MSF Canada gave us a checklist, and I said I wished I had that checklist when I started seeing the doctor 2 years prior to my diagnosis, because then um all of these would have pointed them in another direction, or pointed them to do additional tests. So it's good to talk about what you're feeling and make notes. Just write down, talk about your feelings, what you're going through, so that persons can better understand. Because we have to be fair to them. They're not seeing it, because as you rightfully said, it's the invisible disease.
Yeah, love that. Nicola, can you let people know where is it that they can find your book? Where can they find you? Where can they connect if it is that they want to talk to you about it, or they want to purchase your book or use it for any other thing, whether it's healthcare workers, whomever? Where can they get you?
Okay, sure. My book can be found on my website, which is overcomingms.ca, amazon.ca, and amazon.com for all the other countries. And my book is also on the Barnes and Noble's website, as well as Google Books. And if persons want to also send me an email, they can also send me an email at overcomingms2.
Mm. Okay, good. So that's her information. So send her an email, talk with her, connect with her, buy the book, read the book, give it to someone who you know is also going through this, because they need that support. And this book is a support to know that they're not alone. There's also a community out there who can understand what they're going through and will be there also with them. Yeah. Thank you so much again, Nicola, for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you for being open. Thank you for being bold. Thank you for being resilient. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you can come and speak about your story and be proud of where you are now.
Yes, I appreciate it, Jane. And thanks for having me on your show. I truly appreciate it. And it was a pleasure speaking with you as well.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you so much to my listeners on the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.
Bam, bam.